It's only 90 degrees outside. Need a sweater inside. That's funny. Yeah, you have a sweater. Isn't that a sweater? But outside, then it's like tank top weather, right? Yeah. Do. All right. This is Ask the Broker. So we're going to have some questions. How's this? Birthday was pretty good. It was good. Thank you for asking. People have asked. I don't say thank you for asking. Thanks for asking. I said yes. All right, what questions do you have?
All of them.
Like what? Today's what? You wrote on there something with writing.
Are you putting your computer on there, or are we just doing just all you up front? That's okay too. We love to see your face.
Face?
Quiet.
I can put my computer up there if you want to. Depends what questions you have.
Here's one question. How do I get the?
Okay, that's great. Yeah, you can actually get them. You can get your logos in. Oh, Connect. Is Connect still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Your welcome email. That's how I say to go get the logo is through Kevin Campbell, and it has the stuff that. Okay. So I'll go back.
There or
Teach a person to fish, and they can fish for life. Give them a fish. What are you doing?
But I never go to the Connect.
But you can also upload them right into Command, and then they go in all your marketing stuff right in your file. You don't have to add them every time.
I was out here.
Oh.
Yeah, the file has like JPEG. It has all the ones that are the clear PIGs. No, PNGs.
But if you go to your KWLM official, one of the links that has things.
Oh,
Those are just like generic. And
All right, online. What do you have for questions? What should we talk about today? Where are you getting stuck? What do you need to know? All of those things.
Looking for CMA simplified.
All right, perfect. Did we do this last time, CMA?
we did it a couple times.
Okay, here's the deal. This is the best way to do a CMA. Quick, whatever. If you want to have more time, then we can do it. CMA, what you're doing is you're trying to let the seller know what is my home worth, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. When we think of CMA, we go, how do I make this look pretty? How I can't. You can do all that through North Star, but it's not the important. It's not the important thing. What is this? Here's how you do a CMA. You take an X of a property. I think we did this last month. You could draw a circle around that property. Of 1 mile is a good one, usually. But if you have like a townhouse, you're doing a townhouse, then you do like the townhouse neighborhood, right? It doesn't matter. You want to do what's this neighborhood thing selling in? What's within 1 mile? In that, things that matter. You want to look at the same type of house. So single family, whatever. You want to look at the type of house as well as, is it a one level? Is it 2-story, all those kind of things. You want to look at the square footage. Around that, you want to go bed, bath, garage. What else do you want to do on there? What else are some important ones for western suburbs? Schools is an important one, yeah. I was just at someone's house yesterday. If their house were on the other side of 494, it'd be $1 million. This side of 494, it's probably somewhere in 8s. Right? Schools make a difference. What else?
Size of yard,
Okay, sometimes lot size.
bed and bath.
Yep. B, boom, boom. Bed, bath, garage. Right. You might also want to, then what you want to do is go, okay, what has sold in the last 180 days? That's an important spot. Then you want to look at sold tells you what market said things are worth. Right? Because when you list a house, it's just an educated guess, right? So then it tells you what it's sold for. Pending, you want to look at pending because it tells you how many days it was on the market. And when you go off, it doesn't tell you what it sell for and everything, but you can kind of go longer days, higher or lower price. Lower days, higher price. You can kind of think that way. And then active, ACT, AAT, active means this is our current competition. This is who else is on the market. When buyers come in, they preview your home. This is the competition. Either going to buy that house or that house. This is how you do a CMA, how you make it look pretty and all your comparables. So if you do a search like this on the MLS, then you'll get a list of different homes. You preview the homes, you put a check on the ones, you go, oh, that one's kind of close to it. That one's close, that one is not. We're going to just erase that one. We're going to erase that one. Here's the trick. This is what I think is important. You don't want to go in and tell a seller, don't tell, discover together. So not telling, discover alongside. Now, you're the professional, so you are going to kind of have an answer before you go. You're going to have all your CMA. You're going to have a sense of where it's going to be. But then you're going to walk them through this spot of, hey, this is why I think your home is this price, because we're going to do this. And you can ask questions like this. This one sold for this. Do you think it's going to sell for more or less than that? Do you think it'll sell more or less than that? Oh, and sometimes they're looking at pictures like, oh, this is beautiful. The house isn't as worth this much. Sometimes they can do it the other end. Like I've said to my clients, if you're willing to sell it at that price, I'll buy it right now. But I gotta tell you, I think you'll sell it. Right?
And do you use this exact same logic when you're working with the buyer and they want to know what to go in
Yeah.
on an offer with?
So remember, a buyer, when you're working on the buy side, then you're given this information and the questions are just different. So the questions I would have was, it looks like homes in this price are in this neighborhood are selling around $450,000. How comfortable are you writing an offer at $450,000? I'm great with $450,000. Great. If the home sells for more than that and you don't get it, are you okay with that? No, I want the house. Okay. So what if the home were $480,000? Would you want to buy it then? Well, yeah, I want that. I want that house. Great. My suggestion always is to go in with the strongest offer possible. I'll check and see if you're in competition. If you're not in competition, you want this house, it's great. You go in with a strong offer, which means you want that person to net somewhere around 90 to 95%. unless they're crazy. You know, sometimes if you're in competition, then really usually it's going to be 100 to 105%. It all depends. What would you like to do? We can sit here and not. You can see, we know this is the truth. The longer the days on the market, what happens? Days on markets are up. What happens?
Cheating. The price goes down.
Longer days on market, lower the price goes. Except sometimes what happens, I don't know why it happens, but you write one offer and all of a sudden they have like 3 people just responded to it. That happens. Who determines the price? Market determines it, right? Ultimately, the buyer determines the price at which they're going to purchase it. No buyer comes along. Home doesn't sell for 3 reasons. Do you know what they are? Price,
Station.
location, 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 right? You can't change, but I call that a condition. So, or your terms are just horrible. So price terms and conditions. So, well, my house isn't selling. Right, we need to have a price conversation. Well, I don't think it's overpriced. Okay, then we can look at the condition of your home. What do we need to do to make your home more appealing to that person? The challenging thing is it's oftentimes not the, well, let's put a new furnace in, let's put a new HVAC in. I just added all new, what are some crazy? Well, I just added new glazing to the windows. Those things are nice add-ons, but they're not what some people experience when they buy a house usually. What are the things they're going to experience differently? Good, Sean?
Yeah, so a question is, so we have all this information, and then we want to present it to our client. Now, how do we put that? What do we do to put that together? It's like a 1-page thing, a picture of their house with this information alongside of it, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So what happens when you bring in a piece of paper to someone?
They have that information in front of them.
Right. And if I say, rather than telling, discover alongside, does a piece of paper tell or discover alongside?
It tells.
Right. Sometimes.
So,
go ahead.
So I was thinking like, so you discovered alongside, and then what would you redo the numbers on that document or piece of paper, flyer, whatever it might be called, and then present that to them?
Well, I wouldn't give them a written. I wouldn't give them a written spot because the reason you give a CMA is help us to understand where the market is and where we want to sell our house. You can get a rough estimate on lots of different places. The important thing about walking through someone through that is that you're now allies in this transaction, and when the house doesn't sell, there's a spot of, hey, we did all the work, and what we're going to do now is we're going to have to get together again and decide at what reduction we need to do to get the offer. We missed them, took our educated guess, we looked at it, market conditions have changed. Let's do this and be in. If I just told them this is what their house is worth, now I'm the bad guy, right? Now I'm the guy that said, you told me. Well, that's not great. And also what happens if we do the, you told me, you walk in and we miss things because we've never been in their house. We miss things and we've given them a CMA that says your home's worth $500,000, and really we miss where some things that are on the inside. Their home is worth $650,000. Now, if I'm presented a $500,000 piece of paper, $500,000 a piece of paper that says my house is worth for 500,000 and I think it's worth 650, what are the odds that I'm connecting with you for guidance?
Very low.
Yeah. So I think sometimes we as realtors get caught on the pretty stuff and the easy stuff, which is let me create a piece of paper in my own work, in my own private space that I can now present, because as I present this is going to be the power. That's not the power. The power is, can I come over and sit down with you and we'll go through a process that will help us discover what your home, our best educated guess of what your home is worth in this current market.
Okay.
Not for nothing, that builds trust.
100%, and they understand the process. There's clarity. I was going to use this somewhere else, but clarity is power, right? As people understand why and the process of which this is then makes it better. Other questions? Julie, Maureen, John, any more questions from out there?
No, that sums it up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hi. Okay, so one of my questions is when a home is on the market
Yeah.
and it's been a couple weeks, you've had many showings. I think you know what I'm talking about here. And there hasn't been an offer. So at this point, you wait for maybe, I just want your opinion on this. Would it be 2 weeks or a week after that last showing that you may think about a price decrease?
So you and I are sitting down, I'm having our consultation, and in our consultation, as I say to you, of course, as we list this home, what we're doing is we're doing our best educated guess of where the market's going to be. We're going to sit down in 10 days, either in 10 days without a showing or 10 showings without an offer. We're going to do a price reduction. We're going to do a reduction of 5 to 10%.
Okay.
That makes sense to you?
I don't know, because I mean, yes, of course it does, but then there's the other side, where I have spoken to others and the feeling is they do a bigger price reduction rather than baby steps.
Yeah.
And that is really my question. At what point do you wait a little bit longer? I understand what you're saying with the 10 days, but then at that point, if you only go 5%, is that really turning heads enough to make, somebody who might be on the fence make an offer?
Right. And I would typically say 5%, probably not. I also know that people, when I have the conversation with them on the first time, when I talk about price reduction, they're thinking, okay, we'll lower it $5,000 at a time. And that's a bad move. It just doesn't.
Right.
So when I price a home, I always like the price. I think we talked about this before, but this is where it helps with price adjustments as well. So I like to price a home in the zeros, the 2 5s, the 5 zeros, and there we are, right? This is where I like to price a home. So, and sometimes, as long as it ends in a 5 or a 0, it's fine. It's not always fine, but sometimes it's fine. So then what I say when I'm doing a price adjustment of, look, let's say your home's listed at $500,000, okay? As a seller, I say we're going to do a 5 to 10% price reduction. So if we do a 5% price reduction, what's our new price? If we do a 10% price reduction, what's our new price?
50,000. Sorry, I was muted.
50, right? Emotionally, as a seller, if I'm telling the seller, hey, you're gonna make $25,000 less this time, 5% seems like a big number, right? This is why I say the 10%. What I wanna do is I wanna figure out how do we get from where we're at down to this next spot. If we're at 500,000, and we do a 1%, so now we're at, 495. That doesn't do anything to us. It doesn't change who's that person gonna buy the house. It doesn't change anything. We gotta do something drastic enough. And if we can get down to this next spot, that's drastic. We can get down here. But telling someone, hey, you're gonna take $50,000 less, that's real money to them. And that's the emotional spot. And that's why I prep it on the front end is I'm 10 days or 10 showings and no offer. We're going to do a price adjustment because it's either price or it's our conditions, right? Every house is going to sell at a certain price if the conditions are right. So if you've had a lot of people in your house, now we got 10, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hopefully we don't get to the spot. And they're all saying, I love this property, except this. This thing right here, I cannot deal with. Then I say to myself, all right, great. This is great feedback. Which option would you like to do? We can address this. Let's say that's $35,000 to correct that. Or we can do a reduction of 10% or 5%. Which would you prefer? Right? Because we got to address it's either conditions or price. The challenging with fixing a condition while it's still on the market is that reduces the number of other people coming to see it. So once we're in that spot, oftentimes price is great. So you call back and say, hey, Mr. Buyer, I see you love everything except this one spot. I want to let you know we had a builder come in. We can get that corrected for 25 grand. We're willing either to reduce the 25 grand or put something in escrow so that you can get this project done before you move in. So which would you prefer? Good. But when you
Yeah, that's great. Just one more thing with that. I guess you also go to the top of the list again as far as price reduction. So then you will get more eyes on it once again, right?
Yes, right. You go back onto price. I mean, you can search on the MLS by price improvements, and so that would be one of the spots where you could pop back up on there. Also, if you get in the spot where you're now, right? If I was at 500, but now I got down to 475 or 450. Now I've included that next search, right? People are going to say I'll search up to 475. Really, I can spend somewhere between 450 and 475. You got them already. Yeah, I went down here. I can go. That's what the purpose of that is. How do I get them into that next bracket?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
When people see like the 495, that's such a small amount that when you're working with a buyer, like, ooh, how much further will they go? But when you see a drop like 475, I think that mentality is like, wow, they're serious. Like, this is a good number.
Right.
You know?
And what I know, if I look at this is another thing that can happen too. Depending how much I've missed the market, if I miss the market by 5% or 10%, 7%, 4%, whatever that might be, if I'm only off a few percent, if I'm only off 10, 12, 14, 15,000, By doing this, those people are now back at it. And when I said sometimes this doesn't happen, days on market and whatever, but if you now have two people interested in the property, say, hey, we're in multiple offers, then you can get pushed back up to there. If you come here, well, they're not serious. They're not, that doesn't do anything to me. I'm not on a buy side over a mortgage, $5,000 doesn't really do a lot. The buyer's gonna experience that differently than a seller would experience that. All those guys. Make sense? Yeah. Make sense, Julie? All right.
It does. Thank you.
You bet. All right, what else are we covering? We have half an hour to cover anything you want. Okay.
I got
Oh, where am I gonna write on here? Oops. I had to put the N. There we go.
something.
A what?
Amendment.
Amendment.
And,
And, okay, what is an amendment to?
updates, changes.
Changes. What does an addendum do?
As
Adds. So, I think your thing was contract writing today, when you put it opposite something about writing type contracts. Okay. So, doesn't matter when you use which.
I think of,
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
It kind of does. If you have a septic and you're going to do a septic inspection, you're going to include that. What's that going to be called? That's right, that's adding an addendum. If you wrote a PA, you have a counter offer that's coming back to you, what is that going to be? Say, it's amendment, because what are you doing?
changing.
Changing.
What's already on the PA, right? So here's where the challenge happens. The challenge happens when we have a contract.
Hold up, can I ask a question then? You know, on the PA, it has like all these addendums and you can check the box if it's included.
Yeah.
I thought the counter was on that as an addendum.
See, the counter is an amendment.
I mean, sure, right? Just I'm like, I feel like
Yeah, I
when
believe
you
so.
look at it.
But yes, but down on the bottom here, right, there are all these boxes, right? And you check them if you have this. What are some that are down there? Okay, no more no more you answering.
Okay,
What else are some down there?
get your contract out.
What else might be on it? How about one we just said? That big? What else?
Easement.
And back. I don't know if easement is on there or not.
It's not on there?
I don't know if that it is, but if there's a special easement or something you want to add to an addendum, you can put that on. And then there's things that you can check. And you're saying, hey, in addition to this PA, we're adding these things on there. Counter might be an addendum. We're adding these things on there as well. It might be this. Oops. Some of them say both addendum. So what happens sometimes is in a contract, in our pre-filled contracts, they have language. right? We've seen this language before, and it says all these things. Who wrote these contracts?
The DOC.
DOC approves the contracts. They're actually written by min realtors.
Just say that at the bottom.
And by our lawyers. Right? We're part of that. That's how we get these things because they're written. So, how important do you think this language is? Pretty important, right? And how much time do you think that they spent writing this language?
Wow.
A little while. Then we say, let's do this. Because they have this other box, it must mean they want us to get creative. So then we get creative and say something in it. How much time do you think goes into that when we do it? Right? Because we had a transaction that we got to get done, right? And so whether it comes on the bottom or in an amendment or an addendum later, this is where I was going to use this. Know this. Okay. Clarity is power, right? When we add stuff or change our amendment, what happens is we then take this attorney's language and we're going to change it or add to it. And unless we're clear on things, it gets messed up. So sometimes this happens where it might be danger spots on our place on our spot. Besides this one other line, right, where there's other things, and wherever there's lines, we don't always fill it, but some of us are more tendency to fill it with things like tractor is included in sale, or things like earnest money becomes hard after 2 days, or inspection. This one I don't like at all. Inspection for information purposes only.
You put that in the other.
They might put it right under the amendment. They might put it, right under the inspection spot because there's whatever. What's the danger in this?
You don't have any negotiating.
None at all. What happens if you walk in and you realize, wait, every single stud is eaten by termites? Can you back out of it?
Technically, well, I don't know.
Right? That's a problem. There's no clarity. What does inspection is for information only? What does that mean? Another one is buyers won't ask for any repairs less than $2,000. Why are you putting that in that spot? So that's one spot that's dangerous. Where's another one that's dangerous? Where do you think the other one comes?
The personal property line.
Personal property. Why is personal property dangerous on a PA? What are we licensed to sell? Real property, right? Are we licensed to sell mobile home trailers?
That's right.
The answer is no.
And
If it's on land we're allowed that they own and they're selling with it, then we can sell that. But that is just an add-on, unless it has a foundation and different things. But if someone calls you and there's a couple mobile home parks around, and someone says, "Hey, can you sell my house for me?" No. But this one, you get a bill of sale. That's like selling a car. It's on wheels. So that's not what we're licensed. We're licensed to sell real property. Real
We've got,
property.
like the
So-
Jeep and the four-wheeler.
That's right. So this is what happens. They say, I have a lake home. Right? Oh, it's great. You're gonna sell me the land and the personal property. We're gonna write, what things do you think might come up in there?
Jet skis,
Boats.
canoes, kayaks.
Jet skis, kayaks, docks, equipment, right? And whatever things are down there. What's the problem with this one?
They're not part of the property.
If I'm a lender, what am I lending money for?
Property.
The property for this, the lake home and the land it's on, right? Which doesn't include the boat, the jet skis, all those different things. Is it your job to negotiate this? If the seller says to you, or if the buyer says to you, I want you to ask the seller, they'll sell, da, 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 da. Is that your job?
It's not on ask them, but
It's nice, right? But it's not your job, right? So you can say to them, let me see if I can get you the contact information for that seller regarding this property. It's not the agent's job on the other side to sell this either.
If a lender looks at it, they're gonna be like, we're gonna fund an additional $70,000 so you can have a boat on your loan for a house.
Right, and all this is a depreciating value. This, the mortgagee is going, or the mortgagee is going, I want that to go up in value, right? That's why they're lending. The lender is saying, well, I expect it to go up. So then we as realtors go, well, let's just have this separate document called a person or a property, personal property, personal, whatever it is, personal property addendum. It's right on it. It says, and this is what we do. We say, all this property for sale for what? $1. Oftentimes. And it says right on there, you're not allowed to do that. It must be an actual market value. Marketable value. Can it be less than certain things? Yeah, sure, but it cannot be. Cannot be. So that's one of the challenges that we get. Where else? Where else do we write our own language?
For sure on like their addendum. Your own language. That's okay.
Okay, let's go inspection. This is a big one, right? We've done the inspection, we've come back and we see things that need to get repaired. Someone give me an inspection item that will get repaired.
Water heater replacement.
Water heater to be replaced prior to closing. Good? Is that strong language? Why not?
I know water heater. Who's doing it?
Clarity is power. Clarity is power. So what we want to do with each one of these is oftentimes at the beginning of mine, I write something like sellers will have all work done by Minnesota licensed contractor or appropriate professional. That says who's doing the work, right? So if all we say is water heater to be replaced prior to closing, well, who's doing that, right? Sometimes so I think important on your amendments is to ask the question, who, what, where, when, why, how, right? Who, what, where, when, why, how. So if we say water heater to be replaced prior to closing, when do they have to have that done by? Closing, right? 11 o'clock on a Thursday. What usually happens before closing? Walkthrough. So once someone's walking through the house, they go, wait a minute, this isn't installed yet. We have closing in 2 hours. I say, yeah, we have someone coming and they'll be here in 2 hours. Yeah. So we want these to be completed when?
Final walkthrough.
Okay. By final walkthrough. Or
Prior to go, or you can be.
5 days prior, final walkthrough / prior, 5 days prior to the closing. Right? So you put a timeline on there. When is this going to be done? How will we know it's done? Actually, let's just go through this. Who? So let's answer the who's. Who? Okay. And let's just assume, let's do a couple things. Let's assume that this is at seller agrees to these items, right? We want to make sure who's paying for them. So that's one of the who pays. Who pays? Who does the work? That's an important. Who's paying for this and who's doing the work? What's being done? So water heater, specifically, what kind of water heater? We gotta do what? What kind of water heater? What else is included? What else needs to be replaced? So, also in what permits need to be pulled in order for that work to be done? Who, what, where? Can you think about where comes important? This is the one where becomes important. Radon. If I'm putting a radon mitigation system in, and I'm the seller, I'm never going to live in this property, where am I going to put that radon mitigation system? The cheapest place to put it. I don't care, put it wherever you want, it's cheap. If I'm the buyer, where do I want that to be?
In the most discreet.
Yeah. That's right. So this is who, what, where. So who decides where that's going to go? Where is that going? That's the question you want to ask there. I'm going to install a new septic system. Do you think the buyer might care where that septic system is going to be in their lawn? 100%. Where? Who, what, where, when? By when is the work going to be done? Which we kind of answer in this spot. By when's that work? When's it going to get done? Who, what, where, when, why? Radon mitigation system. I want this to be, I want it to lower my radon levels to 0.04. Why am I doing it? Radon's high. I'm going to lower it to this. We're going to do a test. Oh, I might need a test to let me know that that's good. And then how is, again, just clarity on how is it getting done? What's happening? Who, what, where, when, why, how? And to be able to answer all of those things. Hey, who's paying for this? Did we communicate that in our amendment that they're paying for this? Sometimes what happens is we go, sellers will pay $39,000 or contractors bid for roof. What's the danger in that? So let's say this has happened. I'm the seller, okay? Let's say the bid came in at $45,000. I'm the seller. What am I saying I'm going to pay? Yeah, so seller will pay $39,000 or contractors bid for roof. Right. So if I'm the seller, I'm going, no, it says right here, I'll pay $39,000. Well, it says or contract bid for the roof. Yeah, I choose the $39,000. What's the buyer going to say? If now I'm the buyer, what's buyer going to say?
I want this roof for
Yeah.
$45,000.
Hey, this isn't enough, right? So if there's not the language on who's paying for it, what, where, when, why, is this an up to? What if you wrote, seller will pay for contracts bid on the roof up to $39,000. Does that bring clarity? Just switching it around, right? Look, I can pay up to this. If this is less than that, I benefit. I'm willing to get you a new roof. That's the goal. But without the clarity, then the buyer's going to fight for their side, seller's going to fight for their side, and there's not super clear lots of clarity on that. Make sense? So, if you ever change a contract, you got to ask, why am I doing this? And then be able to answer all the who, what, where, when, why questions. How? Who, what, where, when, why. Other questions? You're out of here. Candy's out. Online, any questions? One of the things they say that I hate, but I'm about to say it. Right. If there are no more questions, I'm going to give you your time back. So you can go back and.
I hate that. They're like congratulating themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, we just gave you 15 minutes back.
Oh, okay. But do you have any more questions? Online, any questions? Was it helpful?
It was.
Awesome. All right. See you later. Hey, we're going to do this again. I have to connect with Candy, but we're going to start looking at next year's contract. So it won't be on Tuesday, but maybe the following Tuesday. We'll do this again.
All right, Kevin, thank you.
And if you can get in for that one, that's one you'll probably want to get in for. I feel like I'm talking to Zoom instead of talking.